Hello everyone, welcome back to English Corner with me, Fitra. Today I'm going to teach you about how to make a passive sentence. Yeah, so today's lesson is about passive sentence. Here in passive sentence, actually it is not really difficult question, but some students still find it difficult, especially how to create a passive sentence. So this is what I'm going to teach you today. Okay, it's about passive sentence. Now, if you look at this, yeah, passive sentence. The first one is what is passive sentence and when do we use it? What is passive sentence and when do we use it? Passive sentence is, in passive sentence, the subject is the receiver of the action. This is one thing that you have to understand first. So the subject of the sentence is the receiver of the action. Remember, in a sentence, usually there is an action verb, there is an action. And then in passive sentence, the subject is the receiver. I'm going to give you an example later. And then the second one, we often use passive sentence when the performer of the action or the agent is unknown, or when the agent is obvious from the context, and when the agent refers to people in general. Okay, when the agent refers to people in general. That's how we use a passive sentence. Now, this is the example, the first one. In active sentence, you have sentence like this. My father wrote this book. My father is the subject. Wrote is the action. This book is the object. The object here is the receiver of the action, right? The book is the receiver of the action. What action is it? The writing action. Okay, my father, the subject, is the performer of the action. Writing, wrote in this context is the action. And then this book is the receiver of the action. This is an active sentence. My father the subject, and then the book is the object. Now, if we change it into like this book was written by my father, it becomes a passive sentence. If you look at this, the book here becomes the subject of the sentence. And then, although it is the subject of the sentence, still it is the receiver of the action. Remember, the action is writing, right? Who write the book? My father, right? But this book, in this context, the book becomes the subject of the sentence. Although, once again, it still has a function as the receiver of the action. And then my father, in this context, is the object of the sentence, is the performer, still the performer of the action. Now, like switch the position, right? In the first sentence, my father is the subject. In the second sentence, my father becomes the object. In the first sentence, the book is the object. In the second sentence, in the passive sentence, the book becomes the subject. So they are switching their position. Subject become object, object becomes subject. Okay. And then again, the time when we use passive sentence, this is the example. My car was stolen. My car was stolen. Who stole the car? I don't know. Okay. The performer or the agent is unknown. We don't know who stole the car. So we can we can say blah 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 stole my car, right? So because we don't know the person, so instead of saying blah 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 stole my car or someone stole my car, you can make it into my car was stolen, because you don't know who the performer is. Okay. And then our food was cold by the time it was served. Our food was cold by the time it was served. Who served the food? Well, in a restaurant, we know who served the food. That's why it is something obvious from the context. If we go to a restaurant, the food will be served by waiters, okay? And then the third one, what is this called in English? For example, eraser. So you can say, what's this called in English? Yeah, by people in general, by people who speak English. That's referred to people in general. The agent is people in general. Okay, those are the three examples of the situations. Sorry. And how to make a passive sentence? First, I have written 6 sentences, active sentences, and to make it easier to understand, I put the same subjects and then the same action verb, which is writing, and then the same object, a novel. Yeah, novel. Okay. The difference here, the difference is only the tenses. Okay, the difference is only the tenses. And then here we have the formula. This is the formula for passive sentence. How to make a passive sentence? We need subject, we need to be, we need past participle. Past participle is verb 3, and then we need an object. Although this is optional, the object is optional. Why optional? Because just like what I told you before, sometimes we don't know who the performer is. So you can only you can make the sentence without the object, no problem. It is acceptable. Okay, the to be here depends on the tenses. We know we have present, past, future, continuous, and then perfect. In the present sentence, we can use is, am, are for the to be. In the past sentence, we can use was or were for the to be. In future sentence, we use be for the to be. In the continuous sentence, we use being for the to be. And then in perfect sentence, we use been for the to be. So once again, the to be here depends on the tenses. Yeah, depends on the context, depends on the tenses that you are using in the sentence, in the active sentence. For example, here, Bob writes a novel every year. What is the tenses? Good, it is simple present tense. Present tense, yeah, simple present tense. How do we know? Because it is verb as. Bob writes. Okay, it is simple present. And how we make it into passive sentence? The first is you make the object into the subject, and then you make the object into the subject into the object. Once again, we put the object here into subject position, and then we put the subject here into object position. See, a novel, and then Bob. And then don't forget, we already have subject and object. Now we need to be. What to be we can use because it is present, so we only have 3 options: is, am, are, right? And because the subject is a novel, it is singular, so we use is for the to be. A novel is. Why we cannot use are? Because it is a novel. A novel is the same with it. You cannot use are. You cannot say it are, right? You cannot say it am, right? So that's why we use is. And then after to be, we use past participle. What is the verb 3 from write? The verb 3 is written. So the sentence is, a novel is written by Bob every year. Okay. And the second one, the tenses is past tense because we use verb 2. In past tense, we use was or were. Okay. And remember, now the subject is 2 novels. 2 novels. So it is plural. Because plural, so it is same with they. So we say they were. 2 novels were. And then past participle, written by the object, by Bob last year. Okay. And then this one is continuous. Remember, in continuous, how do we know that it is continuous? Because we use to be and then verb ing. Remember, continuous is to be and verb ing. And this is present continuous because the to be is. Because it is continuous, so the to be for the passive, we use being. Look at here. The object here is a novel. We make it into subject, a novel. And then we put is. This is not the to be in the passive sentence, but it is the to be from the active sentence, right? And then after that, we use to be in passive sentence, which is being. Once again, it looks like there are 2 to be's here, but actually the first one is to show that it is continuous. It is from the context here, present. This is continuous. And the second to be is to show that this is passive sentence. Yeah, being, and then verb 3 written. Okay, so a novel is being written. Why is? Because this is a novel. All right, it will be different if you have 10 novels. 10 novels are being written. Okay, the next one. This one is future, will. Once again, the object becomes subject, 2 novels, and then we use will to show that this is future. And then we use the to be for future, be, will be. And then past participle, written, and then object. Next, this one is future be going to. Yeah, this one future be going to, not present continuous. This one future be going to. So it is the same because this is future, we are going to use be for the to be. Two novels, object becomes subject, and then we use are to show that this is it's taken from the active sentence to make it easier to understand. The first to be is taken from the active sentence, and then after that, going to the same. After that, we use the to be. Be going to is the same with will, right? Will be, are going to be. So it is basically the same. Two novels are going to be written by Bob. Okay, and the last one is perfect. How do we know? Because it uses has and then verb 3. So to make it into passive, the object becomes the subject, and then we use have or has to show that this is perfect. Yeah, and then we use been for the to be. Been and then verb 3 written by Bob. Okay, so I think that's all how to make passive sentence. It's easy, right? Yeah. So the steps is you have to check what the subject and the verb and the object. You have to identify the tenses, and then you switch the position. Object becomes the subject becomes the object, and don't forget to use the correct to be and verb 3. Okay, I think that's all for today. So hopefully you really understand this. See you again on the next video. Thank you.